Recently, my family and I went on a homeschool trip to Japan. And I've done a few of these kind of talks where we visit somewhere else, opportunity to understand and have some new realizations and just think about things from a different perspective. So our trip started in Tokyo and went via Mount Fuji, Shinjuku, Nara, Kyoto, Nagoya, Osaka, all the way to Osaka. And along the way, many attractions. We were on a tour bus with a bunch of other homeschooling families. So today, I'll talk about various different aspects of realizations of the trip, which will be the big city, Japan being famous for art, various rules of freedom, demographic crisis, shrines of wishes, and a long walk of faith. And each of these will be interlaced with photos, of course, from the trip. One company I work for is Narrative, which is a company that makes software for professional photographers, AI software to help their workflow. So I've become a professional photographer as part of my work. I've taken many photos, which I will share. All the photos here are mine. There's no AI-generated photos. And then, of course, also share some Krishna conscious understanding and philosophy as it's appropriate, given the topic. Now, if that sounds all right, let's get started. Okay. Big city, Tokyo. Ishan. We didn't do any long walks. That's my son. He was along for the trip. We didn't. Yes, I will get into that. So yes, Tokyo, gigantic city, 40 million people. Seemingly more organized than Auckland and less traffic. I don't know how, with 40 times more people. But Shibuya crossing was busiest crossing. This was probably a less populated time of day. Lots of people. So many tunnels. That's a model of the Tokyo underground network, snaking all over the place. And yes, tunnels everywhere. There's a 20-kilometer tunnel circling, motorway tunnel circling, and then there's the surface motorway, and then there's a higher level motorway on stilts and a motorway above that as well. And by the way, anyone been to Japan before? Who's been to Japan? A few people, maybe like a quarter. Anyone from Japan? No. Okay. Sometimes we have visitors internationally. And this is a model of one of the train stations. It's just ridiculously complicated and goes underground for so much. So much so that the Japanese government agency that's in charge of regulating what stuff gets built is saying that the underground space in Tokyo is getting congested. There's not enough space underground. So they now need to go deep underground, deeper than 40 meters when they want to build something new, because everything up to 40 meters is already used up by having built so many things. And 40 meters is below foundations of buildings. It's very deep underground. It requires specialist equipment to build something that deep. And yes, I think the deepest tunnel is currently like 70 meters underground, which is like practically a high-rise building, but down instead of up. And it's like entering a completely different world. You descend down an elevator or escalator, and you're in this world, and you pop up somewhere else. It's like a mystic power, even. And this is our what was that? yeah, exactly. Yes. From the Krishna writings, Prabhupada in the writings and Nectar of Devotion, one of our books here, describes mystic perfections achieved by actually successful yogis, or 8 in number. Anima siddhi refers to the power by which one can become so small that he can enter into a stone. Modern scientific improvements are also enable us to enter into stone because they provide for excavating so many subways, penetrating the hills, etc. So anima siddhi, the mystic perfection of trying to enter stone, has also been achieved by material science. Similarly, all the yoga siddhis or perfections are material arts. We might think of great yogis. Are they spiritual? No. They just have practiced some material art that science is also able to imitate that same perfection. So it does seem like a mystic thing. You descend down and pop up somewhere, like Super Mario, and it's comparable to ancient times yogis being able to go into a river in one place and pop out somewhere else. It's the same flavor. And Prabhupada here is appreciating the material science being able to do this. And this is why people don't meditate in the Himalayas for millions of years anymore, because it's too inconvenient and you can get the same thing by just going to Tokyo and experiencing the same the same flavor. So yes, Japan, famous for art. Here another thing from Prabhupada, the founder of the Hare Krishna movement in the West. He wrote this book called The Light of the Bhagavad. In January 1961, Bhaktivedanta Swami, one of his acquaintances, had shown him an announcement for the Congress for Cultivating Human Spirit, a convention held in Tokyo. Bhaktivedanta Swami conceived of a special project for the convention. The 10th canto, 20th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam presents a description of autumn in Vrindavan. And for each seasonal phenomenon of the Bhagavatam presents a parallel teaching. So he sent Mr. Nakano, who was the organizer of the conference, the first 20 illustrated ideas for the light of the Bhagavad. He said, Japan is famous for artistic work, and India is famous for spiritual culture. We should now combine. So, the Light of the Bhagavad, very beautifully illustrated book. That particular Congress, Prabhupada couldn't make it, but the book was published in the 1980s after Prabhupada's departure. Wasn't using Japanese art, was using Chinese Gao art instead of. But it was conceived for the idea of using Chinese Gongbi art, but it was conceived using Japanese art. So you have illustrations like that in the book. Unfortunately, we don't have it here. We should order some. It's in the love of this book. And I'll be using verses from this book occasionally to illustrate something. But back to Japan. The Fuji television building in Japan with this steel ball embedded in the middle of it. Amazing art. Or anyone have watched Gundam Wing? Yes. Giant robot above the square. Or even some simple rice fields with a car driving through. Beautiful. And amazing waterfall in the Japanese wilderness. Looks so nice. Almost comparable to a waterfall in New Zealand, except with the difference of, because there's so many vending machines in Japan. If you're ever there, it's vending machines everywhere, including you walk for many minutes to get to the waterfall in the middle of nature, and there's a vending machine. Right next to it. Of course there is. You won't find that in New Zealand. And yes, amazing display art. This was in Osaka, Team Plants in Osaka, Team Labs in Osaka. And even hotels have amazing art displays everywhere. Everything has incredible attention to detail and beauty to it. And the Japanese mindset seems to be like, if your job is to do something, you take incredible pride in whatever that is. Your job is putting a package in, packing a box into a package. You will do that to the utmost perfection. You will do the most artistic way of packing that box. So, with that mindset, everything becomes beautiful. Doing a flower display in Team Labs in Tokyo. This. walking through the forest and seeing half transparent. I remember my son was very creeped out by this. I was like, I want to leave. What is this? So, amazing artistic display. Wherever you went, something nicely artistic. And then there's many, many rules in Japan. It's partially the reason why it's so hard to integrate into Japanese society. There's so many small, subtle rules, and if you don't do them properly, you're seen as an uncultured foreigner. So there's so many rules, including you look at a park, everyone is nicely laid out, giving everyone space here. But what do you not see? There's no rubbish bins in the park. And there's no rubbish bins anywhere in the entire country. Everyone is expected to not litter, take their rubbish home and throw it away at home. And there's no litter anywhere because everyone does that. And this would not happen in other countries like this. And anyone know what that is?
Bullet train.
Bullet train, the Shinkansen. Yes, yes. Very fast train, faster than traveling by air. You can travel by train. Normally it goes 320 kilometers an hour, but the highest speed recorded on it is 440 kilometers an hour. So this thing is. But so many rules. If you want to get on, there's about a 30-second window where you have to be at the right gate for the right car, and it opens, people get out, you get on, it closes, the train continues. You literally have 30 seconds to get on. And if you're not there, it's going without you. So everything is organized, super on time, rule-bound, and everyone follows rules. Everyone likes following rules, and it's very much in the culture. There's other countries, if you go to India, no one follows any of the rules. And it works also in its own way, because everyone's used to no one following the rules. But it's a different society with a different way of running. And similarly, here at the left in Krishna consciousness, there's many rules that we follow for a successful spiritual life. And as explained in the prime yoga text that explains Krishna consciousness, a person free from all attachment and aversion is able to control his senses through regulative principles of freedom, can obtain the complete mercy of the Lord. So, we follow rules to enhance freedom. Regulations of freedom. That sounds confusing, right? But there's so many rules. You could pick up a book called the Manusamhita, which is like hundreds, thousands of pages of rules to follow. And we don't really do that because that's following rules for its own sake. They're nice rules to follow, but it becomes a bit overwhelming. The rules we try to follow here in Krishna consciousness, like being vegetarian, having regulated relationships, being not taking any intoxication, all those kind of things actually enhance freedom. Because I don't know if you've ever met any drug addicts, but they don't have a lot of freedom. They're controlled by the addiction. Similarly, more subtle, there's other things like meat eating and so on that also cause so much ill health, and then therefore there's not so much freedom anymore. So, regulative principles of freedom. Rules are there here in Krishna consciousness to maximize free will and maximize freedom. Interesting concept, and someone that would probably be appreciated in Japan, where there's lots of rules.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, go ahead.
In the previous slide,
Yeah.
you say, can obtain the complete mercy of the Lord. I have a question about this. Do you not think that, like, because we are born as children, like we're all connected to the source, the divine, like that is mercy and stuff, like we don't have to obtain or earn love?
Yeah, okay. Interesting concept. We don't need to earn mercy and love. There's a verse in Bhagavad-gita where Krishna explains that he's merciful to everyone, but especially merciful to those that are merciful to him. Like someone might have, in a material example, someone might have children, and they love all their children, but still they might have a favorite. All right, but Japan is in the midst of a deep demographic crisis. If Bhagavad-gita explains, good population in human society is the basic principle for peace, prosperity, and spiritual progress in life. A country needs a good population. Without a good population, the country is, what is a country without its people? And if you look at the population distribution, population pyramid of New Zealand versus Japan, New Zealand has a bulge around 35. Who here is between 30 and 39 years old? Yeah, all of you are that, the largest demographic group in New Zealand. However, Japan is this inverse pyramid. As you go younger and younger, the population gets smaller and smaller. People are not having enough children. Every woman has like 1.25 children per woman, which is not enough to replace the population. It's in fact almost half what you need to replace the population. So there is far too many old people and not enough young people, which means old people are retiring. There's not enough young people to push the economic engine forward. Who's going to take care of all these older people? And as a result of all of this, the Japanese economy is stagnating. This is going nowhere. There's not enough young people to power the domestic economy. And it seems to be getting worse. And whatever the government's trying to do is not working. People aren't having children. And Japan is on track in the next 70 years to lose 50 million people, to shrink by 50 million people, from about 130 million down to 70 million. And there's many articles written about reasons for this, but most say that, well, there's few marriages, later marriages, and no children outside of marriage. Wage stagnation since the 1990s. Wages haven't risen at all in Japan. So people are getting poorer and poorer over time. Cost of raising a child is very expensive. Long hours of work. Japanese famously work forever. Keep working all the time. And rigid gender roles means that women, if they're in the workforce, also are expected to take care of everything at home. So this doesn't work. It's like, I'd rather not have a child and have to juggle 2 jobs like that. And it's all right if you are in Tokyo or Osaka, big cities, but if you're in between, our tour guide pointed this out to us, look around, everyone is over 50. That you look around, you don't see a single young person in most of the cities, outside of the 2 major metropolitan areas where all the young people go, because they're the jobs, they're the other young people to associate with. So it's sad. And it seems many people just don't want to think about it because it's so depressing. And if we look at light of the Bhagavad, the book I talked about, the arrival of clouds, accompanied by thunder and flashes of lightning over the sky, produces a picture of life-giving hope. Covered by deep bluish clouds, the sky appears artificially dressed. The thunder and lightning within the clouds are signs of hope for a new way of life. And this hope that is there from a thunderstorm is seemingly absent in Japan currently, where people don't have hope for a new way of life, hope for something new after the storm. And this definitely was there. For example, after the Second World War, the Japanese people were depressed because they lost the war. And as a way of motivating the population to rebuild the broken country that had been bombed in so many ways, the Japanese government commissioned the building of Osaka Tower and Tokyo Tower, Osaka Tower on the left and Tokyo Tower on the right, in the 1950s, to show, look what we can do. And they were the tallest buildings in the world at the time. And people were like, whoa, this is amazing. And we're inspired to, let's rebuild. We can do something. Isha? Yes? Yes, Osaka Tower has a slide on the side of it where you can slide down it for fun. Yeah, and everyone screams as they go down the tube. Not that bad? Yes, that's true.
How many stories is the slide? Is it a big one?
It's about halfway up. It's Yeah, it's a good like 20 seconds to get down.
Oh, falling?
Well, sliding. 45 degrees.
That's
No.
That's wild.
Yeah. They record a video of you going down. And the attendant's like, ooh, good scream, yeah. So yes, the towers inspired the rebuilding of Japan. And so seemingly, there's, I don't know if the government's trying with everything they can, of course, to break this population deadlock, but if they can do something, it would be an amazing, it would be a shame to lose the Japanese culture and for it to die away. So, in Japan, here's this me wearing a kimono, which was very good at keeping you upright. It's tied in a way that you cannot slouch, and you have to be all proper and upright. Yes. They're horrible. Yeah, you hated wearing yours. My son hated wearing yours. You practically can't breathe in them. And there's so many shrines in Japan, including shrines like this. Does anyone know what kind of shrine this is? You know.
I mean, I walk
What?
like a Shinto Buddhist.
Yes, Shinto, exactly. This is a Shinto shrine, which is different from Buddhism. I did not understand Shinto at all, and I probably still don't. But from what I've learned, Shinto is not exactly a religion in the traditional sense. It's more of a way of honoring nature, your ancestors, purifying in your place in the world and living. There's no goal, it's just existence in harmony. And there's shrines like this or this, which are very impressive representations of the Shinto way of life. And there's lots of subtle things for peaceful living. For example, anyone seen the movie Spirited Away? That's very much Shinto. That's like the embodiment of Shinto in that movie. Nature spirits and that idea. It's very much inspired by that. And for example, leading up to one of the Shinto shrines, the walkway is paved with these small rocks that kind of crack and rustle under your feet as you walk. And that's intentional because apparently the feeling of rocks under your feet as you're walking along and the sound they make quiets the mind, making you somewhat more peaceful when they arrive at the shrine. So it's one of the many principles that are interwoven into Japanese society and the Shinto principles of life. And indeed, in Bhagavad-gita confirms this, one who is not connected with the Supreme in Krishna consciousness can have neither transcendental intelligence nor a steady mind, without which there is no possibility of peace. And how can there be any happiness without peace? Yes, peace is a prerequisite for happiness. We went to the bamboo forest and saw a sign like this, which seems very it makes you aware of the danger of a bear clawing you to death in the bamboo forest, and you kind of don't want to go there. And everyone's busy chatting in the bamboo forest until you get to someone playing a traditional instrument, and instantly the atmosphere changed. Music, like we use music in meditation here, music has an amazing ability to quiet the mind and make everyone peaceful. And as soon as we walked past this man playing the instrument, suddenly everything was a lot more peaceful, and we could appreciate the bamboo forest without being afraid for wild boars and bears murdering us. And as you enter various Shinto shrines and Buddhist shrines also, there's plenty of opportunity to donate money, which is nice for supporting the shrine, of course. And you are encouraged to write on these little tablets and write your wish and make a wish. And all of the wishes are like whatever you want in life. Wish for that, and the priests will pray for it and hopefully grant you your wish. So there's many people donating money and going, oh, I wish for this, I wish for this other thing. Some are like world peace, some are more immediate things. I wish I get residency where I am. So many wishes that people have. this Shinto principle was apparent throughout Japanese history, of course. For example, this is from a conversation with Srila Prabhupada again from 1972, where he says, in Japan, during the Second World War, the Japanese government supported a certain Shinto religion, and they would spend thousands of dollars for ceremonies for soldiers to have good omens for the war. When they lost the war, the entire government wrote in the constitution that the government of Japan will not support any spiritual organization. So the people then, after losing the war, they lost faith in anything spiritual and became distraught. Because this is the problem with praying for some material gain. It's nice to have the sentiment going, yes, I wish for something. I wish for something good for humanity. That's a very nice sentiment. Nothing wrong with that. But if it's not fulfilled, then it's like, oh, it didn't work. This religion is nonsense. It doesn't work. It made us lose the war. So this is the double-edged sword. What's worse than anyone know what's worse than losing all your money in a casino? Winning, exactly. Winning in a casino, because then you go back and get addicted and lose everything you own. So similarly, wishing for something material and then having it fulfilled means you oh yeah, this works. I'm going to do it again and again and again, and be swept up in the illusion of the material world. And we see the popularity of Shinto and Buddhism dramatically declined after the Second World War, and most people in Japan are like, no, just work is the new religion. This another example of the frailty of having material wishes. This famous Buddhist temple in Kyoto, there's a platform there, and about 150 years ago, it was popular. Someone started a rumor or a tradition that if you jump off that platform 13 meters high and survive, you will have whatever wish you had fulfilled in life. So 230 people jumped off trying to have their wish in life fulfilled until the government banned it. And because Japan is such a rule-following country, as soon as the government made it illegal, no one did it anymore. So,
how many people walked away?
Surprisingly, 80% survival rate. Yeah.
That's not the same as walking away.
Yeah, that's not walking away. that is not dead.
That's it was a lot of pain.
Yeah. Yeah. So, the idea of I will get. Someone started a rumor for stuff. Obviously nonsense, but you get what you want if you survive. But it is the desire for material things is.
It's the same thing with the Auckland Bridge, right?
Huh?
If you jump off the Auckland Bridge, then you get whatever wish you want.
Do you? I haven't heard that rumor.
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Okay. I think this is incompatible with our principles here, but you're welcome to try. Free will and all.
Is it said that if somebody jumps from the Auckland Bridge, you can have every wish they want?
I don't think so. Let's not start this rumor and be responsible for this.
But what is it? Is the one that goes to...
We have no responsibility for anything anyone does as a result of rumors spread. So from the light of the Bhagavad, at night, by the grace of the moonlight, the clouds in the sky can be seen moving, yet the moon itself also appears to be moving, just as the living being appears to be moving because of false identification with matter. We think, I am matter, therefore if I get this car, this person, this job, or whatever, I will be happy. So I'm going to wish for that and jump off the temple in order to get it. But no, that thing is not, we're falsely identifying, thinking, I will be happy if I get this material thing, but we are not made of matter. So therefore, the material thing will not satisfy. So it is false identification that causes everyone to move frantically, chasing after so many things, unnecessarily. Prabhupada explains this in one lecture he gave in Los Angeles. Dhruva Maharaj went to obtain his father's kingdom in the beginning But at the end, he said, I don't want that. That is the benefit. If anyone has got desires for material benefit and takes the Krishna consciousness, Krishna can give them. You can get the material benefit. But the benefit is that one day had come to the stage that had asked for nothing. Please give me, instead of hundreds of dollars, give me thousands of dollars. No, this is not pure devotion. You should all understand this. Anya vilasitam sunyam. Completely free from any material desire. That is pure devotion. That will make you happy. To be free of material desire produces happiness, not to feed the fire of material desire. You can have a raging fire and you can throw in more and more gasoline on it. Will it make the fire satisfied or will it keep burning? Quieting, extinguishing the fire is the way to produce happiness. And this is a bit inconceivable if all we know is fulfilling things by material, but more and more material, fulfilling more and more material things, but it works. So, a different aspect here. One temple in was it Kyoto or Nara? I forget. It's famous for its Nara. It's famous for its deers. The whole city is overrun with these wild deers, and you can buy biscuits to feed them. And famous Buddhist temple, and you walk through amazing large gates, encounter the huge wooden building, which caught fire at some point and was rebuilt, but it's this gigantic, impressive wooden building with gigantic Buddha statues throughout it. And interestingly, around the back of one of the Buddha statues, we spotted this head here, the head of Dhritarashtra, supposedly from 18th century. And I was like, Dhritarashtra, that is incredibly familiar, because if you look at, who here has a copy of Bhagavad-gita? Yeah, about half the people. If you look at Bhagavad-gita and open the first verse of Bhagavad-gita, literally the first word is Dhritarashtra said, O Sanjaya, after my sons and the sons of Pandu assembled in the place of pilgrimage at Kurukshetra, desiring to fight, what did they do? Dhritarashtra is the king on one side of the battle, who is inquiring from his advisor, who is, most people don't realize this even if they've read Bhagavad-gita. Bhagavad-gita is spoken through remote viewing. Sanjaya has the mystic power to see things far away, the remote view, what's going on. So Dhritarashtra is in his palace and has Sanjaya, his advisor, visualize what's happening many thousands of kilometers away at the battlefield, and Sanjaya is narrating to Dhritarashtra what Krishna is saying. So Dhritarashtra is hearing Bhagavad-gita from Sanjaya via Krishna on the battlefield via mystic power. And first word of Bhagavad-gita is seemingly in some Buddhist temple somewhere in Japan. And I looked it up. Supposedly this is a different Dhritarashtra that's referring to, but it's a Sanskrit word in a Buddhist temple. This is far too much of a coincidence to be a coincidence. There is obviously some Krishna influence in the naming and culture here that has made its way to Japan to make that happen. Okay, we're almost at the end here. The long walk of hell. When we were there, we did so much walking. This is my phone's step tracking app, and yes, many kilometers of walking every day, which is part of why Japan has such an amazingly high life expectation of major countries. It's the highest life expectation of any country. But New Zealand is actually not that far behind. I was very surprised to see. New Zealand is pretty good. Japanese women have something that makes them live for very, very long. New Zealand women need to figure out what Japanese women are doing that makes them live for so long. But partially because all the walking you need to do. There's so much walking, just naturally as part of life in Japan. But life expectation is very good. way on the bottom of the list of life expectation is Nigeria, which has, sadly, only 50. And so you have a very high life expectation if you're living in Japan, living the Japanese culture, unless your occupation is sumo wrestler, where it takes about 20 years of your life to be extraordinarily heavy, and also do lots of steroids apparently to maintain the practice and exercise and everything. So would you become a sumo wrestler with 20 years off your life? But think of all the fame, the money. Many people think, yes, this is a good trade-off. And throughout Japan, it was relatively hard to get vegetarian food, because in mainstream Japan, most people just don't understand the concept. It's not permeated society. However, being an open society, there is many subcultures, and we've managed to find vegan restaurants in every city, almost every city. They were very nice, including, for example, Mercy Vegan Factory, which has as principles, for example, the bottom principle, no chives, garlic, scallions, leeks, onions, which is a similar principle we have here at the loft, where we don't use these things because they're too agitating for the mind. They disturb meditation. We don't use them in cooking. They're very beneficial to health, and we might take, for example, might take some if I'm extremely sick. Garlic might be a good antibiotic, but it's not for regular consumption. And I suffer the consequences. I go crazy if I ever have some. So these principles of health and peaceful mind permeated throughout Japan also. So that was nice to see. And especially restaurants connected to temples are more likely to be vegan and more likely to embody these kind of principles. So then, finishing with a verse from the Light of the Bhagavad. With the inauguration of the autumn season, the rough seas become calm and quiet, just like a philosopher after self-realization who is no longer troubled by the modes of nature. The influence of nature can blow us this way, that way, can cause so much disturbance. And nature is not just nature as in the weather and so on. It's the nature of other people that we interact with, the nature of foods we eat, the nature of our work, the nature of some health challenge that might strike us. All of these things can blow us, of course. But by practicing some spiritual path, such as Krishna consciousness, for example, which we teach here, we can steady the ship, calm the waves, and give us a peaceful, fulfilling life. So, thank you very much. Any questions? You have a question? Yes. What's your question?
The questions?
Hmm?
Can you help with the questions?
You want to help with the questions? Okay, come on. Any questions? Yes.
I have a question. Thank you so much for the talk, by the way. The photos were excellent and the content's very interesting. That quote I've heard many times before about peace, how can there be any happiness? But it seems a very hard point for me and others to understand, because we're so used to this desire for fulfilling desires, and that will make us happy. You know, I can hear it so many times, but it still hasn't sunk in. Why is that? Why is it so hard to grasp?
Yeah, Prabhupada at some point said, I'm explaining this for the millionth time. We're not the material body. And still you're not getting it, to his students. He explained that really, if you really understood you are spirit, you are not made of matter, nothing material can fulfill you. It might be necessary for maintaining the body, but it's not going to make you happy. It is not fulfilling. If you understood that, your life would be so much simpler, and you'd actually be happy. So it's because we spent many lifetimes reincarnating in a material body. And the whole reason we're here is to get free of that misconception, to learn our lesson and to reassociate with in the spiritual world, reassociate with spirit. So it's the whole what do you call it? It's the whole purpose of the human experience to learn that lesson. So that's why it's hard. So don't despair. We'll get there eventually. All right, so with that, thank you very much. You've been a great audience, and we'll move on to the next section of our program.
Thank you.